So Master Duel just got itself a brand new pack, and as most of you are probably well aware by now, the general consensus about the pack is that it was certainly one of the packs of all time. Yeah, unless you're one of the 2 Tellarknight players on planet Earth, there really isn't a whole lot of reason to invest into this pack. There are a couple of hidden gems in there, such as the Princess, your Sakatama, your Trap Tracks, your Time-Tearing Morganite, but in general there really isn't a whole lot of things in here to look forward to. But there is one card that I don't see anybody mentioning. I thought I'd just make an entire video talking about it just to shout it out to people that might find it useful. So if you're one of the many trap card enjoyers in Master Duel, and you've always been pretty sad at the fact that Master Duel has limited Pot of Prosperity to 1, I think I have the card just for you.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get into the deck list, if you guys are enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, so apparently about 35% of you watching this are even subscribed to the channel, meaning 65% of you haven't even subscribed yet. So if you guys are enjoying this kind of content and want to see more deck lists from me in the future, or more videos from me in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's jump into this deck list, checking out this brand new card. So what exactly is this brand new card that I keep hyping up? Well, I'm of course talking about the brand new SR Wannabe, which is literally only an SR rarity, meaning if you want to craft it, just about every single person watching this won't have any trouble doing so, which is fantastic, as you don't have to dig into the new pack to get a hold of it, you can just craft it. And this card is going to be an insane consistency boost to just about any single trap card deck out there. Alright, during the end phase, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, excavate cards from the top of your deck, equal to the number of your opponent's unused spell and trap card zones, and set one excavated trap card to your field, but set it to the graveyard during the next end phase. Also, place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. You can use this effect once per turn. So obviously this card is an insane consistency boost, because it's essentially just going to be a Pot of Prosperity. Going first, the chance your opponent sets a bunch of back row is 0, because obviously, unless they're playing Labyrinth, they can't set anything. So this card is just going to be a Pot of Prosperity, but for 5. It's insane. Even going second, you're probably going to be able to use this thing most of the time, as nearly every single deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't set a whole bunch of back row going first. There are obviously exceptions to this, but most of the time, they're only going to set like 1 to 2 cards max, most of the time just like an imperm or something, so this thing might just be a Pot of Prosperity for 3, which still isn't that bad, which is just a really good card that boosts the consistency of a deck list that might be lacking in consistency stuff, especially considering the pots are going to be both limited to 1, both of the main pot cards, and also, both these cards rip your extra deck. So if you're playing a trap card deck that heavily relies on the extra, things like this Dynamorphia list for example, which is playing obviously all the fusion stuff, so you don't really want to banish these fusion monsters, and I'm also playing the Soul of the Supreme King for a bit of fun, and I don't want to banish any of the targets for this card, so I'm not playing any of the pots. So a great way to substitute those is this brand new card which is just as consistent as Pot of Prosperity, but doesn't rip your extra deck. Now obviously the main downside to this card is that it can only be used during the end phase, but that doesn't really matter in most trap card decks because you can't use your trap cards on your first turn anyway, so you're probably just going to be setting your trap cards whether you're going first or second, you're just going to be placing your 5 cards face down and passing the turn. That's how most trap decks work, which this card doesn't disrupt that strategy at all, because obviously during the end phase you'll just set your 4 cards, then end phase, activate this thing, set a 5th one. And the good news about this card is obviously if you're missing something from your field, things like in this Dynamorphia list, if I already have access to my 2 fusions, I just need something to protect them from things like Feather Dusters or Evenly Matched or whatever, I can look at the top 5, try to grab a card like Solemn Judgment, or try to grab a card like Dynamorphia Sonic, or if I find my field just doesn't have enough removal, I could just look at the top 5, look for a copy of my Ferret Flames, or maybe an extra negate for if my opponent has a really annoying normal summon or something, or even just search for floodgates, like Anti-Spell Fragrance for example. This card's a just insane board fixer, because obviously it's pretty easy to search with Dynamorphia Teresa to grab the 2 main fusion cards, so sometimes you just want to search for a card that just matches the field or matches the components you're missing to make it really, really hard for your opponent to out your field, and this card is just brilliant for doing that. Now, one last thing I want to mention about this card, obviously I'm playing it in Dynamorphia just because I just kind of like playing Dynamorphia, but you can play this thing in literally any trap card deck ever. I know there's a bunch of toppings in the TCG that were playing this card in things like Labyrinth, for example, so if you want to play this in something like Labyrinth or, I don't know, some Stun deck or some other Floodgate deck, go right ahead. I'm just using it in this deck list because I just happen to like Dynamorphia. It's not necessarily just a Dynamorphia support card or anything like that. Alright guys, that's enough talking about this deck list. Let's get into the gameplay showcasing what this brand new card can do. Alright, so I've actually had to move my camera for this replay, as obviously this card's an Excavate card, and I want to show off looking at the top 5 cards, so I've got the camera on the top left today, which is a bit different to normal, but anyway. So these replays, they're not going to be the most exciting ones ever, as I just want to show off what this card can do. So the first replay is just going to be a basic example of just showing off the card, and the other two are a couple more stuff happens at least, sort of, but it's all just basic replays showcasing what the card can do. Nothing too exciting or special, just showing the card being activated, basically. Alright. So this first replay, like I said, it's extremely basic. It's just showing off me activating the card, basically. I think my opponent doesn't even play the game, so let's get into it. Alright, so already a brilliant hand, actually. We've already got access to both my fusion cards, so when I do activate this thing, I'm basically going to look for just stuff to protect my fusion stuff. So activating my Fossil Dig, he max sees me because he thinks I'm playing Dino. Good on him. And he finds out I'm playing Dynamorphia, and he regrets his life choices. Alright, Teresa searching for, of course, a Sonic, because obviously I don't really need any of my fusion cards, I already drew them. End phase, activate my Wannabe. He's got 5 unused blind trap cards. I can just look at the top 5, grab anything particularly useful. I think in this case I just grab Judgment. Yep, just grab a Judgment. And now my opponent has to try to play through essentially what the perfect end field is for Dynamorphia. I think he just decides it's not even worth it. So that's basically what the card does in a nutshell. Now let's show some replays of it actually doing something particularly useful. Alright, so I think this first time was against a Pearly player, I think? I would gather a few more replays to show off, especially trying to find one going second, but it's really annoying trying to just get replays drawing one specific card, as a lot of the time you just don't draw it and you end up just conceding just games for 17 hours until you eventually draw this one card. It's not very fun, so... Alright. So activate Fossil Dig, searching for my Teresa. Activating it. Is it even called Teresa, like Teresa or something? I think it's Teresa. He imperms me, which is obviously pretty bad considering my hand has no Dynamorphia fusion cards in it. So of course we're going to have to try and look for one. Alright, activating the Wannabe, so now we can search the top 5. And unfortunately, I don't think I actually even hit one of the fusion cards, which kinda sucks. So instead I just grab the next best thing, a counter trap. Alright, obviously going to use this during my opponent's standby. He's going to chain a Pearly card. Now, I actually misplayed a little bit here. I should have immediately activated Sonic to negate this, because my opponent can't chain any of his other quick plays to Sonic, so it would have meant that every single one of these quick plays just wouldn't be activated this turn. He just wouldn't be able to do it, and I can negate the first one. So I 100% should have activated Sonic now, but I didn't, because I'm a dumbass. But I kind of realized it on the second one. I was like, oh, I can just negate this thing, and then he can't do anything else the rest of the turn, so nice. Yeah, should have used this on the first card. And from here, I can just use my alert, reviving my monster, which can now grab my trap card. And my opponent knows that the game's just over because he can't do anything, and he just concedes. Alright, final replay. And this one I think there's a bit more back and forth. You actually see some fusion summons in this one. Yeah, these weren't going to be the most exciting replays. I just really want to showcase this card in particular in action, which is, yeah, not the most exciting card. It's just a card that makes your deck more consistent. It's essentially like trying to make a video on a Pot of Prosperity. It's not exactly going to be the most exciting replays. Alright. Looking at the top 5, trying to grab a card in particular. Basically only had Sonic as an option there. We had some imperms as well, but Sonic, oh, we actually grabbed the, we grabbed the imperm because I think I already had access to a negate for spell and trap cards, so I was like, let's grab a card that deals with normal summons. So that's one of the main downsides of Dynamorphia, is although you can summon a Floodgate that stops monster effects, if your opponent has an annoying normal summon, you can't really deal with that, so I decided to grab the imperm instead. Alright. Now, I have no clue what card I want to negate in this, so I'm just going to negate this first thing. I have no clue if it's good or not. And then I'm going to set up my Floodgate, so that if he has any other monster effects, I can hopefully negate them. Alright, summon in my Kentragina. Which I think I then just use Kentragina's effect to summon the Floodgate. I do. So now setting up my Floodgate. And we're good to go. And we haven't even used the Solemn yet. Alright, searching for his Reinhardt, which is a bit annoying, because I think that's what he wanted to search for with this thing. I'm search for the field spell. He has Thrust to grab talents. So of course I'm going to not use the negate on the Thrust in case he already opened the talents. I'm going to wait for him to activate it, and then we're going to negate the talents. Getting very low now, only 1,000 life points. Alright, activating my Trap Trick. Vanishing and grabbing a copy of Ferret Flames. Which is surprisingly not... Oh my god, if you're wondering why I use this thing's effect here, that was a complete misplay. I didn't mean to use this, that was by accident. So, bit awkward there. But it's fine to have Ferret Flames. The thing about this deck is Ferret Flames isn't that great against a lot of it. Because a lot of their monsters just have 0 attack, which is a bit annoying. But anyway. Summons his Tri-Heart. I'm now going to force him to remove his Tri-Heart. To summon his Kashtira, which is actually technically an out to this thing, because it can negate it. And obviously it has 0 defense in the moment, so it's definitely an out. But him destroying it just allows me to summon my Kentragina back. Alright. Activate another domain. He's going to Cold by this, which was very scary, as there's no way for me to set up a Floodgate now that actually has an effect active. So, very sketch, because I can't lethal him this turn. I don't think I even have any Dynamorpheus left in deck, so I can't even use the effects of Kentragina to summon down another one. So I can speed over his field, just pray to God he doesn't hit a top deck. I think his deck is actually a 1-card combo deck, so I just really hope he doesn't draw a single Scareclaw. And thankfully, he didn't. So, alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just go craft this card. It's only an SR rarity, so you don't really have anything to lose. So go give it a go. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.